öğretmenlerimiz, sevgili öğrenciler ve kıymetli misafirler. Rize Sosyal Bilimler Lisesi olarak düzenlediğimiz ve ilimizde yerel olarak ilk defa yapılan Rize İl Geneli Liseler Arası İngilizce Münazara Yarışması finaline hepiniz hoş geldiniz.
Sevgili öğretmen arkadaşlarım, kıymetli velilerimiz, değerli jürimiz ve sevgili öğrenciler. Rize Sosyal Bilimler Lisesi koordinasyonunda düzenlenen Rize Lise Öğrencileri İngilizce Münazara Yarışması'na hoş geldiniz. Münazara bizim için bir kültürdür. Hayata farklı açılardan bakabilmeyi, düşüncelerimizi özgürce ifade edebilmeyi, sorunların kavga etmeden de karşı tarafı ikna ederek çözülebileceğini gösteren bir kültür. Öğrencilerimizin iletişim becerilerinin daha da gelişmesi ve onları hayata hazırlama aşamasında tartışma kalitelerini yükselten bir platform olarak münazarayı eğitim sürecinin temel basamakları arasına koymak öncelikli hedeflerimiz arasında. İnanıyoruz ki farklı düşüncelere tahammül etmeyi başarmış nesiller, hayatta atıldıkları daha kaliteli bir yaşamın anahtarını ellerinde tutacaklardır. Okul sıralarında geliştirdikleri münazara kültürünün onlar için ne kadar büyük bir avantaj olduğunu fark edecekler. Bu kazanımın, bu kültürün onlarda istendik bir davranış haline gelmesi için gerekli çabayı gösteren tüm öğretmenlerini daha iyi anlayıp sevgiyle hatırlayacaklar. Bunun yanında sosyal bilimler alanında dil öğrenmenin önemini ve sosyal bilimciye sağlayacağı olanakları da hatırlatmak isterim. Bir dil, bir insan sözünü hepimiz daha önce duymuşuzdur. Yabancı dil öğrenmenin, farklı kültürleri tanımanın kapısı olması, iş hayatında ve akademik hayatta başarının anahtarı sayılması, bilginin farklı dillerdeki kaynaklarına erişimi mümkün kılması gibi birçok faydası mümkün. Dil öğrenmek, bireyin ufkunu genişletmesi bir yana, öğrenen kişilere maddi birçok fayda sağlamasıyla da biliniyor. Dil öğrenimi, yalnızca öğrendiğimiz dile ait özellikleri veya bilgileri size kazandırmakla kalmaz. Aynı zamanda edebi bir dünyanın kapısını aralar, beklenmedik mesleki fırsatların size gelmesini sağlar, farklı kültürleri tanıyarak perspektifimizi genişletmemize olanak tanır.
At the same time, some of the parents are using the homeworks because of their own good. They try to show themselves as good parents by trying to be seen while developing. Well, this isn't actually a dream. We can see these kind of cases when both of the parents are working. When the parents come home from their job, they feel really tired, really exhausted. This is a normal thing. There is no problem there. The problem starts after this situation. So when the parents come home, because of the tiredness that they have, they can't still focus on their child. So they try to solve this problem by trying to help with the homework, but most of the time, unfortunately, they become unsuccessful. This is not their fault. It is the homework itself, because that's how the education system treated the parents like in the past. They were also treated with the homeworks. Time flies, but something doesn't change, unfortunately. So as a government team, I'm one more time emphasizing the fact that homeworks are not beneficial. So we will portray how homework undermines the child-parent relationship, turning heartfelt conversation into mere checklist inquiries. Kids end up feeling that they are only valued for completing homework, not for who they are. Also parents, often overwhelmed with work, struggle to supporting their children, and this makes the problem even worse. Homeworks should be banned because it hurts family bonds and doesn't help kids learn as much as we think. So let's focus on what really matters, building strong relationships and supporting our children, our future, in all aspects of their development. So in addition, I want to ask an important question to esteemed juries and to your opposition team. How productive can learning be that requires great effort, motivation and curiosity in an environment that has distraction and without professional supervision? That's it. Thanks.
Esteemed judge members and fellow audience, also the opposition team, I would like to start my speech by saying that I am the second speaker of the proposition team, and I am here to defend why homework should be banned. But before I start my speech, let me ask you a question. What does actually homework means in literature? Homework means work done at home, as opposed to work done in schools. It says a test in 1889. So also, let's we check the figurative meaning of homework in literature. It means to be prepared. So what we understand from here is we use homeworks to prepare students in any subject that has been taught them in the previous lessons. So I want to also I am delving into that situation, that issue, because also teachers use the homework in the intention of preparing students. And do you know what happens if the student is aware of that? They will be held responsible for the subject they are currently learning in the lesson. They fed up listening to teacher and decide to chill the moment by talking to their friends or drawing some pictures in their notebooks or desks. Well, when we realize that, also we observe it, students disconnect from the lesson. Well, it's the reason because students think that they can handle the work while they're doing the homework, but they can't learn the topic while at the same time while they're doing that job. Well, most importantly, something that could even be disaster happens. Students lose the will to participate in a lesson because they don't know the previous part of the subject in the lessons which they were taught, and they just lose the will. This also makes students think they can manage anything. So we deprive them from the imaginability. We deprive them from explore them to find their talents. So just consequently, it leads to the country or education system being unsuccessful in educating young brains. Well, also, most important point is here that students can't explore their talents. It leads society to become deprived of art. As Atatürk once said, a nation without art is like a person with a cerebral artery. So what we understand from here, that a nation or a life can be without the art. Also, I can give a practical example here. Let's check the legislature of Sparta and Athens. Well, here, when we check the legislature of Sparta and Athens here, we realize that one of them improved a lot, one of them not. Because when there is no art, as we observe in Sparta, they weren't in art much. They hadn't legislature, so we see as a result leaving students in a condition that hinders their ability to socialize. We definitely observe that homework makes students hinder their talents and get proved. Also, they spend lots of time in works which are they not intended to be. Thank you. My question is going to be to opposition team is how can we make a developed nation without art if you just support that homework shouldn't be banned? Thank you.
Esteemed juries and fellow audience, today I stand before you talking about a rather special topic. A topic which never gets old for students. A topic I would suppose for many of you which already has an answer. Yet I will humbly assess this topic which you already know the answer to. And there's a simple reason for that. That is, even if I fall short proposing arguments in the defense of a ban in homeworks, you can always look at yourselves who stand as the living monuments of this system to understand what I say is right. So, one could still righteously ask, why ban homework? So, let's talk about that. Homework by definition means work done at home. And if we could find somebody who didn't have a concept of homeworks, they probably would have some questions at hand about homeworks. If students already spend 8 hours at school, why do they take another 2 hours of work at home? Is school not capable enough to teach so that students will have to work for another 2 hours? The opposition team and their elects who defend homeworks would have said that we need homework because homework teaches students how to solve problems. It teaches students how to take responsibility for their part in the educational process. But I find that something else happens here. One of the biggest problems that's been lingering around for long enough about homeworks was that they cause significant amount of health issues related to stress. The reason for this is simple. Because teachers never bother to think about how much time it's going to take to finish the homework they gave. For a teacher, it takes approximately 10 seconds to give a homework. But for a student to finish that homework, it takes several hours. And this also brings us to the main point of my argument, that homework never sets goals to achieve what it really promises. Rather, for the most part, it achieves the quite opposite of that. The reason the definition of homework is problematic is because work is done where work is done. You could never see, for example, a supermarket owner to continue selling things at home after work and say, this is my homework. You would never see that. That's ridiculous. And why is this so abundant in homework in educational sense? Why are teachers so insistent about homeworks? To make you understand this better, I will quote from a teacher who himself started not to give homeworks to his students and had a remarkable success compared to the other teachers in the same city. This teacher states that at the first days of his job as a teacher, he was always worried that his students would never start writing. So he made this a problem for himself. So he gave them homework to solve this problem. Well, it surprisingly made him relax. Because he didn't have to worry about the fact that he might have not been able to teach the lesson. Because he gave the homework, he was very sure that responsibility was on the students. Now, to this context, it shouldn't be a surprise that a country like Finland, in order to become a teacher, you have to have a master's degree in education, are higher in the lists of PISA and the likes, where countries which spend 3 or more hours at homework are lower on the same lists. So, what are the goals for homeworks then? If a responsible teacher found success not giving homework to his students, surely this can be applied to the whole nation. We know now, with my and my teammates' speeches, that homework causes the opposite of success. Homework causes the opposite of responsibility. Responsibility is never gained through moderation and oppression. Homework doesn't teach the lessons it's about, but it teaches a rather more valuable lesson, which butchers the students' capacity to rank higher in those lists regarding education. It teaches students more than anything else to obey and to be commanded.
Hello, dear dream fellow audience. My name is Nisa, and today, as me and my team at Social Sciences High School, we are going to defend that why homework shouldn't be banned. And before we start, I want to ask you a hypothetical question that what do you imagine of when I say homework? What do you dream of? What does your brain capture? What is the definition of homework? Well, according to Google, homework is a set of assignments given to students by their teachers. But when I said homework, you are probably thinking of those papers that you copy 5 minutes before your class from your friend, or the ones that you need to help your little cousin because they cannot do it themselves. But apart from all of these, which are practical side of our argument and our term, homework is integrating what we have learned at school into our lives. We need to sense the knowledge, and my friend will talk about it later. You need to create to understand. And throughout my speech, I will be talking about 4 main benefits of homework. And to start with, first one is, what does it aim? We have already talked about it aims, right? It aims integrating what we have learned. It aims responsibility. It aims time management. And to start with, now, number 1 is responsibility. Yeah, you have already talked about responsibility. We have, and we will talk about responsibility. You need to feel the burden. You need to get out of your comfort zone because that's how you improve. We're now living in a seminal era. We're not getting chased by lions. The opposite, we chase the success. We chase the first place, aren't we? And that is why we should feel the stress. Maybe we're not getting chased by lions and afraid to lose our lives, But we need to be the first. We need to be successful. And never forget this. Minor habits make major lives. And if you want to get through all of the responsibilities you will have in the future, you will need a sense of responsibility. And the second thing I will be talking about is, can we change the slide? Self-learning style. Let's get deep into this. Today, as we know, there are 4 main types of learning, which are audacity, kinesthetic, reading or writing, and visual. Now imagine you are a teacher. You have to teach 30 students at a time, and you can't be a 30 teacher at a time. You are just a teacher and you have a limited amount of time. You have only 40 minutes. But all of us, we carry a world inside of us, our experiences, our abilities. We are different. And that is why there are hundreds of ways to learn things, to observe things. We are observers, we are students, and we want to remain as students. There's a university exam coming up for all of us, for example, right? We need to work hard for it. Our eyes need to feel blurry because of reading. Our hands need to swallow. Our back needs to ache. Because that's how you achieve success. You need to create. You need to be in this job. You need to integrate, which is the definition of homework. Homework is not only countless amount of papers that teachers give us. They are a way for us to learn who we are. And to ask you a question, I will ask you a question right now. How do you expect a teacher to teach in every learning way ever to happen and make all the students understand in just 40 minutes? Did you get the question? I can refresh. How would you expect a teacher to teach in every learning way to happen and make all the students understand in a limited amount of time?
Did you get the question? Now we will continue with the second debater. You can start.
Hello everyone. Now I'm here to adamantly oppose the notion of banning homework in our schools. Yes, I know that the idea might sound tempting to some, but it completely disregards the undeniable advantages that homework offers to students. Now, without further ado, let's delve into 3 fundamental reasons why homework is an essential component of our education system. First and foremost, let's talk about preparation. As opposed to what's generally assumed, homework isn't just a mundane task, but it's a critical tool in preparing students for the challenges that lie ahead, particularly exams, because it reinforces classroom learning, solidifies understanding, and instills a habit of consistent study. And by completing assignments at home, students can identify their weak areas, seek clarification, and ultimately achieve mastery over the subject matter. In short, homework isn't a burden, but it's a pathway to academic excellence. Furthermore, let's address the elephant in the room, screen time. In an era dominated by technology, excessive screen time has become a growing concern in our society. So, by assigning homework that requires offline activities such as reading, writing, or problem solving, educators can encourage students to disconnect from their devices and engage in more meaningful and intellectually stimulating pursuits. And this not only promotes healthy screen habits, but also fosters a balanced lifestyle. So let's be clear, homework isn't just about academics, but it's also about promoting a healthy lifestyle and balanced habits. Finally, let's talk about inclusivity. As you all know, every student is unique with their own strengths and weaknesses, and homework provides an avenue for personalized learning. For those who lag behind their peers in certain skills, homework offers additional practice and reinforcement, allowing them to bridge the gap and catch up with their classmates. For high-achieving students, on the other hand, homework serves as a platform for enrichment, challenging them to reach their full potential. In short, homework isn't a one-sided approach, but rather a personalized pathway to academic success. In conclusion, the abolition of homework would deprive students of invaluable learning opportunities and essential academic skills. So, let's reject the notion of banning homework and instead embrace it for what it truly is: a powerful tool for empowerment, growth, and academic achievement. Together, let's stand firm in our commitment to homework and countless benefits it brings to the lives of students. And finally, there's a question that I want to ask, and I want you to pay great attention because it's a pretty long question. And that is, if homework were to be banned, how would you propose addressing the issue of academic inequality among students, particularly those who lack the resources and support system at home to supplement their learning? Without the opportunity for additional practice and reinforcement provided by homework, how do we ensure that all students have equal chance to succeed academically, regardless of their background or circumstances?
Hello everyone, I'm Rana, and now I'll tell you about the functions of homework and its impact on learning stages, on students, and on their brains. So as you know, homework promotes students to learn, and as my friends mentioned before, homework has really important functions, and its impact on our brain is really big, and its positive effects cannot be ignored, and its place in learning is actually greater than we think. So to explain this better, I'll tell you about Bloom's taxonomy. But what is Bloom's taxonomy? Basically, it's a classification in which different thinking processes are listed hierarchically, and its purpose is to provide a common language for teachers to discuss and exchange learning and assignment methods. We can examine this in 6 stages. They are remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and also creating. So let's move to how we use it at school. The information given by teachers to the students at school, if they're lucky enough, they can reach to the understanding or applying stage. But most of the time, unfortunately, reaching the remaining 3 steps at school is not common or possible because we have limited time and not enough source. And to reach some of them, we have to work on the information by ourselves. And how can we reach them? Of course, with homeworks, given through various activities. And there's a fact that we can all agree on, is that repetition makes it easier for us to learn and remember things. Here you can see clearly, this is a typical forgetting curve for newly learned information. As you can see, the more you review the information, the harder it gets for you to forget it. So this is what homework is, right? We review the information we received from school at home. So we can say, thanks to homework, the permanence of information increases. And lastly, I'll tell you about the impact of homework on our brains. We can change the slide. Yeah, thank you. And as I said before, various incorrectly assigned homework has big and important impact on us. And what new information does to our brain is incredible and unbelievable. Our brain creates new neural connections with each new information it receives. So let's reconcile this with homework. New information given by teachers to the students at school establishes new neural connections on their brains, and various incorrectly assigned homework helps them to process the information they received and also strengthen the connections they made. So, are those connections important? They're so important. They help us to strengthen our memory, see the world from different perspectives, solve the problems easily, and also it prevents such serious diseases such as Alzheimer's. So, there are not some little details about the advantages of homework that actually are important and has a big impact on us. So I have a question for you. Can we really just focus on the disadvantages of homework and ignore all the things that we have counted to you? Thank you.
So let's start from the beginning. So, as far as I understand of the opposition team supports the idea that homeworks help students take actions in real life. And I mean, I really didn't understand this thing because I want to ask a question that you should not, that you don't have, you should make, if you want to answer, but I don't expect it. How many times did your teacher give you a homework to get up and see the outside? Even though they give you homework not to get up, then how did the homework taught me to take actions in real life? I'm really curious about it. Second thing, that I would like to talk about is first speaker's question. As far as I understand, was how can you expect a teacher to teach all of the knowledges at the first time and at 40 minutes, and at the second question in the limited time? Then I want to ask the question. For example, as innovative students, we've got in high school, we've got more than 15 lessons. At one day, we have to struggle with 15 lessons homework if we have. But you are still saying that teachers should have more time, and also so do the students should have some time to social, to rest, to sleep. I mean, doctors say that especially teenagers, these children have to sleep like between 8 and 10 hours. But we are giving them homework, because of homework, especially in university school. We've got much more lessons than the normal schools. We have to struggle with their homework, and also we should have some time to socialize ourselves, to rest. So that was the answer for this question. And also, I want to talk about the unique situation that you are supporting the idea that all of the students are unique. Yes, we didn't say that we are not accepting that all of the students are unique. And as I mentioned in my first speech, I am seeing this new generation as the future of our nation. So that's a really big problem. The homework is a really big problem for us. But I can't really understand that, especially in Turkey, there are maybe 1 million teachers, let's say. There are 1 million teachers in the worldwide, in the Turkey-wide. And how many of them gives different homeworks, as I mentioned in the beginning of my speech? How many of them gives homework is just get out and see what happens at the outside and do the actions that we taught you? I just wanted to tell this, and thanks for listening to me.
Thank you for using your time wisely, and opposition side, you don't have to answer the question, they were hypothetical. And we will continue with the second debater. You have 3 minutes, you can start.
Okay, thank you. Let's start from the very beginning of the opposition team's speeches, because there's a really massive complexity between their speeches. Because I realized that the first speaker says that homework provides something, integrity, or integrity, or well, actually the second speaker after the first speaker said integrity, second speaker said there is a personalized studying, teaches people how to study themselves. Also, I want to just emphasize this complexity. Also, they said that the opposition team, we need to be in success. So how can we manage that? We need to work hard and just make our eyes tired or our body tired. There is a second day learning. Well, if you are tired enough to not listen and understand something, that's meaningless if you get tired in one day. So second day, it will be meaningless if you try to understand something. Also, I want to get attention on something. Neural connections. Well, neural connections are being gained by homework? Definitely not. Well, in a survey, in a research, we can definitely observe that reading is what is necessary to neural connections. And reading, well, in homework you don't read. You obligatorily do something because teacher gave you a homework. You need to do that and show him, but he or she doesn't care how did you do it. Just looks if there are some of the secrets, some of text. He accepts, puts you a plus, but that's not the way how homework works. This is the way how homework works, but it is not how it should be done. Also we realize that when students fed up of homework, they don't read. So it causes them like hate from reading. So neural connections is out of order now. Also, I need to say that responsibility. We don't gain responsibility from homework because we copy them from our friends. Because at the night we are tired. We have some hobbies to do. We want to do them. And we just let the homework tomorrow to copy from our friends. Well, is it the real responsibility? Like, homeworks just make you out of responsibility. Also, if we need to be successful, we need to read, not we need to do homework. Also, we realize that okay, I am concluding it. Your opposition team asked us how a teacher can teach all the topics in the lesson.
I need feedbacks. And if we do the practice wrong, theoretically, homework, just like I have already said 1,000 times, is integrating what we have learned at school. And our teachers can teach us things that are limited in a limited amount of time. If we do practice right, just like how are we trying to do with everything, then homework is integrating what we have learned at school into our lives, sensing the knowledge, seizing the opportunity. Thank you.
First of all, regarding your question about how would we expect the development of a country without art, without banning homework, but there's no such thing as you should eliminate one just to do other one. For example, there's a student in my class and she is the best at all grades or all the exams. She excels at them, but she's again better at art than me because she could find the balance between them. There's no such thing as a country just develops with art, but we shouldn't forget that academy and education are also pillars of a country's development. So we shouldn't ignore any of them or neglect any of them, but find a balance between them. And as we delve deeper into the discussion, I'd like to bring forward another compelling argument against the proposition of banning homework, the multiple intelligence theory proposed by psychologist Howard Gardner. And this theory suggests that intelligence isn't a singular fixed entity, but rather a multifaceted construct encompassing various forms of intelligences. And these include linguistic, logical mathematical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, interpersonal, and finally naturalistic intelligences. And each individual possesses a unique blend of these intelligences, influencing their learning strengths and areas of expertise. However, in a traditional classroom setting, it's virtually impossible for teachers to cater to the diverse needs and learning styles of every student in accordance with the principles of the multiple intelligence theory. The reality is that teaching methods of teachers often prioritize certain forms of intelligence over others, leaving many students feeling overlooked or undervalued. Homework, on the other hand, provides an invaluable opportunity to address this disparity by allowing students to engage with the material in a manner that aligns with their personal strengths and preferences. For instance, a student who excels in linguistic intelligence may thrive when given reading assignments or reading comprehension tasks. Conversely, a student with a strong bodily kinesthetic intelligence may benefit from hands-on activities or creative projects. So, by assigning varied and dynamic homework that caters to the different forms of intelligence, educators can create more inclusive and accommodating learning environments in which every student has a chance to shine. In simple terms, homework is like a puzzle piece that fits where regular teaching might miss. It gives every student a chance to shine in their own unique way. For example, in their own unique way. Moreover, homework also helps students become more independent learners. It teaches them how to manage their time, set goals, and reflect on their progress. And these are skills that they will use not just in school, but in life too. So, let's not throw away homework, and instead see it as a tool for making learning more enjoyable, inclusive, and personalized for all students. Thank you.
So hello again. Firstly, I want to answer the things that you have talked about. Firstly, you said that homework harms our creativity. I talked about Bloom's taxonomy, right? And we saw that at the top of the triangle there was creating. And I said to reach them, you have to work on the information by yourself. If you don't have any homework at home, how can you repeat or work on the information by yourself? For to do this, we have to have homeworks. And also you said, and you talked about parents and how they come from their job and be really tired and can't really help their child with their homework. I said, I'm going to talk about this later too. Actually, if they are already like stressed or like overwhelmed by their job, it's only think, like a reason, and the homework, it only shows, it only comes out with homework. They are already stressed enough. It's not about homework. And also, I'll continue my speech with the importance of homework for teachers and parents, and it will also be an answer for your speech. Firstly, I'll talk about teachers. You know, they have to give feedbacks after every single homework they give. This is because this is the right use of it. You said they don't give it, but they should give it. They don't, and this is their wrong, or they're wrong. And you know, every teacher has their own method. And they cannot reach every student and their learning style. So we can actually solve this problem with homeworks. And also, I want to talk about the opportunity differences between schools. Here you can see a difference, right? This is a classroom from Finland. This is a classroom from here. As you can see, we here have a lot of activities in classrooms and like 15 students. But here we have nothing but desks and only at least 30 students. So we cannot say they can give the same education, right? This is impossible. So how can we close the gap between them? Of course, with homeworks. And for parents, I'll talk about, you know, they cannot be with their child 24/7, they cannot go to school with them. And if they want to keep track of their child's performance, they have to like know it from somewhere, right? And the information they can receive from teacher is also limited because there's like 30 students in the classroom. They cannot know every little detail about each student. So, unlike your thought, it's actually so useful for parents. So they can keep track of their child's performance. Everything that we have said for students, for parents, for teachers, it's only for our benefit and it shouldn't be bad. Thank you.
Esteemed juries and fellow audience, for the last time I'm taking the microphone again. And to this topic, I think there's a lot of controversies going on in the other team's arguments. Because I find that they've been talking about different forms of intelligence. And they are talking about different forms of intelligence. That's what I was complaining about. I am not a mathematical, logical mind, and yet I still get physics homeworks. And I can do them and I get minus. So to not get that minus, I copy. I copy and I cope with that problem with copying. Minor habits make my life. I become a person who cheats. That's the first thing. And I think one of the biggest reasons this match has to be won by our team is that the opposition team always talks about the things we have already answered. We already answered that thing, and you still say the same thing you have mentioned in the beginning, and that's a wrong approach. And one of the things I couldn't say at the beginning of my speech, my first speech, was that homework does not aim to teach you something. Okay, only one thing there is homework aims to do, and that is to integrate school to students' life, and that is horrible. We all know that integrating school to our life is horrible because school is almost like a full-time job. Then at this level of integration with your life, you become like a CEO of a corporation. I'm talking to a majority of students here, and they all know why homework should be banned. And I know what they know, so I'm talking about what they know. And as in homework's main aim, I wish to say that at the first, as my first speech, I said this too, that homework only teaches students to obey and to be commanded. For all of your arguments were on the theory spectacle of things, but I'm talking about reality here, and this reality really hurts because you know, I personally love reading books, and I read a lot of books. And our literature, for our literature lesson, our teacher always gives us books to read, but I don't like those books. They do not increase the way I think. I think if I read the book I want, I will increase my thinking more. You know what lies beneath command of read my books, it is not that I want you to read books. It is I want you to read the books I give. So if you really desire progress for your students, my beautiful nation, please ban homeworks. Thank you.
Okay, so we are continuing with the summarization speeches. I couldn't say it before, but okay, now you can start.
Now with the abstract, I will summarize everything we have said so far. Homework is like a projection of what we will do when we become adults. We will become parents one day, right? We won't be always students, and you will have to watch out for your children's meal time or your child's meal time. That's just like that you had to care about your deadlines when you were doing homework, when you were students. You had to take care for them because you are responsible for them. Won't you ever be responsible of something? Won't you ever become a boss or become a marketing seller or something? You will become a thing. And no one wants someone to take care of them who haven't had the enough capacity of doing it. And every step we take, everything we have learned, every action we do, they are what make us us. We are just like homers. We are projections of the things we have done. And to summarize, I have talked about responsibilities and self-learning styles because, just like I have said, there are hundreds of them, and just like Feynman technique, who created this? Because they couldn't deal with the homeworks, he couldn't deal with the homeworks, so he had to come up with a new solution, because problems make new solutions, and practice is wrong. I want to underline it always. If the practice is wrong, this doesn't make theory get lost or get wasted. And another thing, which is very important, Bloom's taxonomy. There are steps of learning, and you cannot take all of these steps in 40 minutes. You need to evaluate yourself, you need to create yourself, because you are different, independent. You don't get commended by anyone. And just like I have already said before, even if we don't have homeworks, we will have responsibilities. We will have to read those books, because that's how the modern world wants us to be like. We're now living in a seminal age. You need to have even the slightest idea for everything. And another thing is that we need to try hard for not our homeworks, but everything we work on. You need to give an effort. And in school, the definition of school is this. You're 17 and you have to have all of these slightest ideas about every topic that is possible. Because you need to know, even if it's little, you need to know. You need to have the knowledge. You need to integrate what you have learned at school as a knowledge into your life. And that's what we call homework. Thank you.
The winner is Rize Social Science. Kaptan Ahmet 265'te finalleri tamamlamış oldular.